What if everything you believe about reality is just a reflection of your own mind? Most people live their lives reacting to the outside world, never realizing that they're actually shaping it from within. That's not philosophy, that's physics. Spiritual physics. By the end of this video, you'll understand how your inner energy can silently rearrange the universe in your favor and how to activate that shift starting right now. Stop what you're doing. For just a few moments, don't listen with your ears, listen with your life. You're not here to gather more information. You're here because somewhere inside you feel that something bigger is calling you. And that something is not outside of you. It's coming from you. Everything that's been holding you back, those invisible walls, they weren't placed there by the world. They were drawn by your own expectations. And right now, those boundaries are beginning to dissolve. As you let these words in, you may notice a subtle shift, not in the room around you, but inside. A quiet sense that your circumstances are not random, that they're not punishment or luck. They are mirrors, reflecting your emotional and mental states back at you. The truth is this: you've been the architect all along. The world hasn't been happening to you, it's been happening through you. If that hits differently, it's because it's not just an idea, it's an invitation. An invitation to drop resistance, to stop chasing, explaining, or fixing, and instead to observe how fast your life changes when you reclaim the source of it, your own state of being. So forget the noise. Let this moment be sacred, because this isn't motivation. This is the crack in the illusion. Walk through it and watch everything transform. Think about this. You've had moments when you were completely consumed by a goal. You visualized it constantly, imagined the outcome in vivid detail, told yourself this had to happen. You calculated every possible angle, planned obsessively, even looked for signs in everything around you. But no matter what you did, that outcome stayed just out of reach. It was as if the more you wanted it, the more the universe kept it at arm's length. Why does that happen? Here's the paradox nobody teaches you. When desire becomes obsession, it stops attracting. It begins to repel. That's because fixation often stems from fear. Fear of not having, fear of missing out, fear of failure. And fear is a powerful message to the energetic field around you. It says, I'm empty, I lack this thing, I don't believe it's mine yet. And what you send out emotionally, you receive in return always. Contrast that with those bizarre, almost magical experiences when something wonderful entered your life without warning. You weren't asking for it. You weren't strategizing. You weren't even emotionally invested in the outcome. It just appeared. A surprise job offer, a random reconnection, a door swinging open when you weren't even knocking. Why do these things feel like miracles? Because there was no resistance, no mental friction. You weren't projecting the energy of need or anxiety. You were in a state of ease, and that's the frequency life responds to the fastest. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. When you chase something too hard, you accidentally confirm its absence. Your internal script sounds like, I don't have this yet. I need this badly. I can't be at peace until it arrives. And so your outer world aligns with that storyline. You continue not having it. But when you believe something is already on its way, or even better, when you behave as though it's already yours, your energy changes entirely. That inner shift changes your posture, your tone, your decisions. You walk differently, speak differently, think with a sense of ease. That ease becomes magnetic. It's not that you stop caring. It's that you stop doubting. There's a name for this principle. Neville Goddard described it as living in the end. Instead of waiting to feel joy after something happens, you feel it as if it's already true. That emotion becomes your new baseline, and reality rushes to match it. But here's the trap most people fall into. They pretend to feel fulfilled, but underneath, they're still watching the clock, still hoping for proof, still needing results to feel safe. And the universe doesn't respond to what you fake. It responds to what you believe. So the key isn't to want less. The key is to attach less, to stop obsessing over the when, where, and how, and to rest in the certainty that if something aligns with your energy, it must come. Your life isn't a vending machine. It's a mirror. If you stand in front of a mirror and frown, the reflection frowns back. If you smile, it smiles. Your reality does the same. Stop frowning at what's missing. Start embodying what's already yours. And don't just hope for ease. Become the embodiment of ease. That's the shift that changes everything. There's a law at play in your life right now, whether you acknowledge it or not. It doesn't depend on belief, culture, or logic. It simply exists. You might call it spiritual physics, subconscious programming, or just alignment, but the result is the same. The external always echoes the internal. That means the quality of your reality is a reflection of your emotional blueprint, not what you say you believe, not what you post online, but what you actually feel, moment to moment. When you radiate lack, no matter how politely or positively, it creates more lack. That's not karma, that's feedback. And this feedback loop is always running. You can't lie to it, you can't charm it, you can't hustle it, because this system doesn't respond to effort, it responds to energy. Let's get brutally honest. Most people try to manipulate their surroundings while completely ignoring the atmosphere inside themselves. They say things like, I deserve more, or I've done everything I can, but their nervous system is screaming fear, doubt, unworthiness, and that's exactly what they get back. The universe isn't punishing you, it's reflecting you. So, let's break the illusion. Effort alone doesn't create results. Aligned emotion does. The deeper your sense of inner fulfillment, the more natural it becomes to receive externally. Not because you're lucky, but because you're matching what you want instead of chasing it. Think of reality like a boomerang. You throw out feelings, thoughts, intentions, and sooner or later they return. Not as ideas, but as events, experiences, patterns. And if your dominant emotional broadcast is tension, scarcity, or desperation, those boomerangs come back sharp. But shift the broadcast, calibrate it to peace, certainty, and ease, and the return changes too. This isn't just abstract theory. It shows up in the smallest details. Ever noticed how people who complain constantly seem to attract more things to complain about? Meanwhile, those who move through life with gratitude, even in chaos, somehow create order around them. That's not coincidence. That's energetic alignment. Neville Goddard emphasized that feeling is the secret. Not words, not affirmations alone. Feeling. Because emotion is the language your subconscious mind speaks fluently. You don't need to be fluent in spiritual lingo. You need to feel congruent in your being. That's what calibrates your field. And no, this isn't about suppressing negative emotions or pretending to be happy when you're not. Authenticity is crucial, but so is awareness. The real power comes from choosing your dominant frequency. So ask yourself, what emotional climate are you living in? Do you spend your days vibrating with confidence or with quiet panic? Are you holding space for peace or constantly making room for doubt? Because no matter how hard you try on the outside, if your internal weather is stormy, your external world will reflect clouds. Here's a shift worth considering. Instead of constantly asking, what do I need to do? Try asking, what do I need to feel more often? Let that answer guide your actions, not the other way around. When you rewire the emotional blueprint, the physical landscape has no choice but to rearrange itself. Reality doesn't follow logic, it follows frequency. So if you want different results, stop rearranging the surface. Start tuning your signal, because the universe is not listening to what you say. It's reacting to what you radiate. Pause for a second and imagine something specific that you want in your life. Something big. A new home, a healthy relationship, complete financial freedom. Got it? Now here's the twist. Instead of visualizing yourself getting it someday, what if you pictured yourself as already having it right now? Not as a wish, not as a goal, but as a reality you've been living for months. How does your posture change? What decisions would you make? How would you treat yourself? What would you stop worrying about? That's not just a fun exercise, that's the formula. Neville Goddard called it the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He taught that if you want something to exist in your world, you must first embody the version of you who already has it. This isn't daydreaming, it's alignment. Here's why it matters. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. It only responds to consistency and emotion. And if your emotional state is still rooted in hoping, striving, or waiting, then your reality mirrors that delay. Hope is a beautiful sentiment, but energetically, it implies distance. When you hope, you're saying, I want this to happen, eventually. But when you feel something is already done, your entire system shifts. Your energy becomes calm, your focus sharpens, your anxiety fades. Why? Because your mind believes the outcome is already secure. Most people live in the energy of, I'm working toward it. But working towards something is very different from living as if it's done. Let's break this down with something simple. Imagine wanting a better job. Most people approach it with stress, updating resumes, scrolling endlessly through listings, worrying about interviews. But all of that is soaked in one message: I don't have it yet. Now, flip that. Imagine waking up tomorrow already, in that new position. Same paycheck, same respect, same schedule. How would that version of you show up today? What decisions would feel obvious? What habits would feel out of place? The version of you who already has it doesn't beg for it. They act from it. That shift is more than mindset. It's magnetic. But here's where it gets tricky. Many try to feel fulfilled for a few days, and when results don't show up immediately, they spiral back into doubt. That's because they weren't truly rooted in the state. They were testing it, not living it. True embodiment doesn't keep checking for evidence. It becomes the evidence. When you live as if something is already yours, you stop asking when it will happen. You stop wondering how it will appear. You stop measuring time. Instead, your energy says, it's mine, I'm just moving through the timeline. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about overriding the illusion of delay with the truth of alignment. And yes, that takes faith. Not blind faith in the universe, but faith in the unseen intelligence that responds to your vibration. Faith in the idea that life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. So if you want to shift your life, don't try to force the world to match your desire. Train your system to match the frequency of already having it. Repeat the feeling, anchor it, let it become familiar, let it feel normal. Because once it feels natural, your outer reality is forced to catch up. That's not magic. That's mechanics of consciousness. So next time you think about your goals, don't ask, how do I get there? Ask, how can I be the person who already lives there? When your answer becomes your energy, your life will follow. Let's bring this concept down to earth. Imagine you really want a new car. Not just any car, that car, the one that turns heads, the one that smells like possibility. You've pictured yourself in the driver's seat 100 times. You've run the numbers. You've scrolled through listings, memorized the specs, maybe even test-driven it. But every time you go home without it, there's that sinking feeling, I still don't have it. That frustration, that subtle sense of lack, is more powerful than you think. It doesn't just sit quietly in your mind, it broadcasts. And what it broadcasts is resistance. Every thought that says, I'm not there yet, becomes a magnet for more of that exact experience. It keeps you staring at the dream from the outside, never stepping into it. Now shift the lens. What if, instead of thinking about that car as something you're chasing, you start living like it's already part of your world? Not pretending, not daydreaming, but genuinely acting as if ownership is your current reality. You wouldn't obsess over getting it. You'd maintain it. You'd plan your week around it. You'd park it in your mental driveway and move through your day as if it were simply part of life now. And here's what changes when you do that. Your energy becomes clean. No begging, no proving, no grasping, just certainty. Neville Goddard taught that the world bends to your internal state, not your effort. That means your role isn't to force results, it's to embody readiness. When you believe something is already yours, you move differently. You make decisions aligned with that belief. You stop discounting your value. You start recognizing opportunities that match your vision, opportunities you were blind to when you were too focused on the absence of the thing. And this doesn't just apply to cars. Let's say your desire is wealth. If you keep checking your bank account in fear, you're affirming the absence of abundance. But when you operate from the emotional state of someone who already has enough, you move with calm, you attract more, you trust yourself more, and others feel that too. Or maybe you're longing for love. You can't force connection by swiping endlessly with an anxious heart. But when you live as if love is already present in your life, when you feel secure, supported, and chosen, you naturally become a match for the kind of relationship that reflects that energy. The vehicle you crave, car, job, love, freedom, isn't really the point. The point is, can you feel it now? Can you embody the version of you who already owns it, already drives it, already lives it? Because once that version of you becomes emotionally real, the physical experience has no choice but to follow. Most people wait to feel like they have something after it arrives, but the universe doesn't work on delayed payment. It delivers on alignment. So stop obsessing over how close or far you are from your goal. That gap only exists in your mind. If you want it to shrink, stop measuring it. Start acting from the place where it's already done. That car in your vision, it's not out of reach. It's out of sync. And the quickest way to close that gap isn't to hustle harder. It's to tune your frequency until life brings the keys to you. Let's be honest. It's easy to feel confident at the beginning. When you first start embodying the feeling that your dream is already real, everything feels light. You walk taller, your thoughts get clearer, you're aligned. Then a few days pass. Nothing's changed on the outside. That little voice starts creeping in. Why hasn't it happened yet? Did I do something wrong? Is this even working? And just like that, the energy collapses. You've shifted from belief to questioning, from alignment to resistance. This is the trap that kills momentum. Not failure, not rejection, but the return to doubt. Here's the truth. Doubt is not just a mental distraction. It's a signal to your system that you're unsure, unsteady, and unsafe. And when your emotional frequency wavers, your external world does too. Most people try to overcome doubt by doing more. Hustling, researching, obsessively checking for signs that things are working. But the more you search for proof, the more you confirm to yourself that you don't believe it's done. Doubt is subtle. It wears disguises. Sometimes it sounds like logic. Other times it feels like responsibility. But in every case it tells the same story. This isn't happening fast enough. Something must be wrong. Here's what Neville Goddard would say. You don't need evidence. You need consistency. The feeling of certainty must be nurtured even when nothing seems to be happening, because things are happening, just not in the way your conscious mind expects. Think of it like a seed. You plant it, you water it, you know something is shifting, underground, even if the surface looks the same. But if you dig it up every day to check progress, you're not nurturing it, you're disturbing the process. Your manifestations work the same way. They require stability, not surveillance. So, how do you stabilize? How do you maintain belief when time stretches on and signs are scarce? It starts by getting comfortable with mystery. You don't need to know how it will happen. You don't need a timeline. You need trust. Let go of your obsession with when. Let go of the need to understand everything. Your role is not to control the mechanics of the universe. Your role is to carry the emotional signature of your desired outcome long enough for it to crystallize in the physical world. That requires emotional endurance, not perfection, not blind faith, just a steady return to the feeling of it's already done. Every time doubt rises, meet it with this: I don't need to see it yet. I already feel it. I don't chase, I align. I don't force, I trust. Let these reminders anchor you when your mind wanders. The more you stabilize the inner world, the less reactive you become to the outer one. That's not ignorance, it's power. Because reality isn't built by external proof. It's shaped by internal certainty. Your dream is not gone, it's not delayed, it's forming behind the scenes. But if you keep interrupting the signal with anxious thoughts, you slow everything down. So train yourself to stay in the knowing. Let the world take its time catching up to the version of you that already exists in the unseen. That version isn't waiting. That version is doubt has no place in a consciousness that knows its power. Choose peace over panic. Choose trust over timing. And above all, hold the frequency, even when it feels like nothing is moving. Because in silence, in stillness, that's exactly where the transformation begins. Here's where most people fall off the path, not because they don't believe in the power of their thoughts, but because they can't handle not knowing. They've done the work, visualized the outcome, felt it as real. But then, silence. No visible change, no confirmation, no proof that it's working. And suddenly the mind starts spiraling. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this doesn't work for me. Maybe nothing's coming. But that's the moment that matters most. Because right there, in that tension between belief and uncertainty is the test. Can you remain still when nothing seems to be moving? Most people can't. They rush back to control. They push, force, panic, strategize. They search for new methods. They abandon the state of calm trust that was beginning to create alignment. But here's what you need to understand. The universe doesn't respond to impatience. It responds to resonance. And resonance takes time. It's like tuning an instrument. If you rush the process, you end up with noise. But when you let the vibration settle, something beautiful starts to emerge. You have to let it settle. There's a delay between shifting your energy and seeing the result in the external world, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is happening behind the scenes. Picture this. You plant a seed, you water it, you step back. Days pass, and the soil still looks untouched. But deep beneath the surface, the seed is cracking. Open, roots are forming, foundations are being laid. Growth is in motion even if your eyes can't detect it yet. But if you get impatient, if you dig up the soil to check, you interrupt the very process that was designed to support you. This is what happens when you question the timeline of your manifestations. You aren't being asked to wait. You're being asked to align and stay aligned without seeing the full picture yet. And that's where real power lives. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up on your desires. It means releasing the belief that you must manage every detail of how and when they arrive. It means trusting that what you've created internally is on its way externally, even if it's taking a route you didn't expect. That's not weakness. That's mastery. The people who effortlessly attract what they want aren't more talented. They're just less reactive. They don't panic when things are quiet. They don't interpret delays as failure. They hold the energy as long as it takes, until reality bends to meet it. Neville Goddard often spoke of living in the feeling of the outcome without needing to check reality for validation. That feeling isn't just the source, it's the signal. When you sustain it, your world starts shifting to match. So next time doubt creeps in, next time you're tempted to chase, next time the silence feels too loud, ask yourself, if it were already done, how would I be acting right now? And then act from that place. Maybe you'd smile more, worry less, move slower, speak with more conviction, trust without needing reassurance. That energy, that state, isn't something you earn, it's something you choose. So choose peace, even when the evidence hasn't arrived. Choose certainty, even when logic can't explain why. And most of all, choose the version of you that knows what's meant for you isn't missing, it's arriving. You're not waiting, you're receiving, and the calmer you become, the faster it all finds you.